with Jaboree, the four-star corner from Louisiana, decommitting. Yeah, he just went on his visit to FSU. And look, Coach Norvell and the squad, they're putting something together. Florida State, you see last year, you see the writing on the wall for this year. I get it. Decommitting after a visit, it's smart, especially when you're going to a school that's going to be a legitimate threat in their conference, in the college football playoff, and just college football in general. But like I was saying, if you read into it a little too deep, does that mean they're getting another commitment in a different state? Are they getting another corner? Is this Jaboree Antoine decommitment indicative of LSU and Corey Raymond, piecing together their final commitments for the 2025 class? Does him leaving mean they got somebody else on the hook potentially?
Now you got to understand, Jaboree Antoine going on that visit to Florida State and then decommitting when he leaving, I think is more about showing his value. And look, I'm not saying I agree with the kid decommitting if he know he wants to be at LSU, but I think he's showing that I have options. And look, Florida State can possibly be one of his top options. And look, can you blame him? All right, you got somebody like Dave Johnson who recruits Louisiana, who is one of the best recruiters in the country, understand the landscape of Louisiana kids, and Louisiana kids have went to Florida State and done pretty well.
Yep.
Right? And then you think about the cornerback coach, Pat Surtain. I mean, that's one of the best DB coaches in the country. What he did with that DB room in year one at Florida State, I thought was phenomenal. A lot of kids like Jamie Vance, who was there last year and transferred to USC, had nothing but high praises for what Pat Surtain did in that DB room. And he's a coach that played in the NFL at a high level, started for the Miami Dolphins, produced one of the best corners in the NFL right now, Pat Surtain Jr., who plays for the Denver Broncos, and Pat is from Louisiana as well. And so when you think about that from that perspective, Jaboree having Florida State as one of his top schools makes a lot of sense. And they was one of the top teams in the country last year, and they beat LSU the last 2 years. So they using that as a recruiting pitch when they talking to Jaboree. With that being said, this is still LSU, right? It's still your home state. Corey Raymond is still running that room. Yeah, this is going to be year one. He's from New Iberia. Jaboree Antoine is from New Iberia. So I think LSU is still in a good place. It's still in a good place. I just think that Jaboree wanted to take a step back, after leaving Tallahassee and hearing they pitch on how they plan to use him and things of that nature. And he's saying to himself, look, let me take a step back and really evaluate everything before I just say I'm just fully committed to LSU. And I think that's what he's doing right now. But if I was a betting man, I would bet that Jaboree Antoine would still sign his name on the dotted line at LSU come signing day. But I think it's gonna come down to the wire. And for those that might be doubting how elite Jaboree is, I'm here to tell you I've seen this kid in person a number of times. He's the real deal. In my mind, I think he's gonna be a really, really good corner wherever he decides to sign. But I think it's gonna be LSU. But wherever he decides to go, I think this kid is gonna be a really, really good corner in college football, and he's definitely gonna have an opportunity to be a high draft pick at some point in his career.
And when you're talking about the cornerback position, LSU needs that. LSU needs that more than anything, especially because I'm not saying we don't have any depth, any talent, anything like that. We do. But Corey Raymond going out, finding his guys, finding what fits his bill, what he wants, his vision, that's scary. Because I think Corey Raymond is probably going to be one of the best eagle eyes in terms of picking out talent, scouting talent, trying to get guys in a room all on that same common goal, that same page. If Jaboree wants to sign and represent the purple and gold, I'm all for it. I think, though, whatever comes into that room, Corey Raymond's got a scheme, and Corey Raymond is focused, more focused really than he could potentially ever be. The situation he's in right now, he knows the target is on his back. He knows that the defensive back's had a rough year, and he's got to not necessarily turn it over night and day, A+ from F- in 1 year, but everyone's going to expect, some consistency. Everyone's not going to want to see 300 passing yards given up against Ole Miss or an A&M or what have you. They're gonna want to see some action in year one, and I think Koya Raymond with the trajectory he's been on, and with the things you've heard from him, and just with the overall hype and pulse of the team and the room and that position specifically, I think it's heading in the right direction. I think LSU. It's exciting because
Nah,
it's definitely it's not like the savior and he's going to come in and everything changes because of it. But from what you've seen in the practices and just already on a fundamental technical level, the DBs are changing and they're changing quick and they're changing for the better too. So, I mean, getting these young guys molded in that he sees the potential in, that he actually had his finger on the pulse the whole time. Like he's molding them. He doesn't have anything he doesn't like in their game. I wonder what that DB room is going to look like. Let's say 2-3 years down the road. I'd say within 2 years, maybe even 3 years, LSU's back at that DBU pedestal. They're back being the lockdown corner university. What were you about to say, G?
nah, I'm gonna give the people in the chat a little nugget right here that a lot of people might not know, right? So I'm gonna give y'all a little inside information on what could possibly be happening with Jaboree Mack when it pertains to Florida State. Now, I brought up the past 13, him being a DB coach from Louisiana, Dave Johnson, recruits Louisiana, really good from Louisiana. But I also might want to point out to you guys that Jaboree Mack's girlfriend is the brothers of her brothers are Jalen Lucas and Ja'Kai Douglas. So for the people that's listening in, let me break it down to you. Jaboree Antoine's girlfriend goes to LSU. Her two brothers play football at Florida State. Ja'Kai Douglas and Jalen Lucas. That's who hosted Jaboree Antoine on his official visit last weekend. So that's a big part into what's going on too, because they're gonna be recruited. They got a good relationship with him because why? That he dates their sister. So they're doing their tag team in Jaboree Antoine. His girlfriend that goes to LSU, she needs to get her recruiting pitch going. She needs to I know it's gonna be fun to watch and see how it's gonna play out. Hopefully, like I say, hopefully the girlfriend, she has the upper hand and be able to get him to sign with LSU over the brothers.
So you really do got a huge recruiting war going on. You got the girlfriend, you got the brothers, and the brothers too. That ain't no run of the mill athletes. These two
That's what I'm
cats.
saying.
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that
So
situation just got a little more sticky.
yeah. I know Ja'Kai Douglas and Jalen Lucas are doing everything in their power to make sure Jaboree is feeling comfortable in Tallahassee and wants to sign his name on the dotted line come signing day. I know they're doing everything in their power.
And Florida State's really not a bad situation at all. I think Florida State, they're on the up. It's looking good, and I mean,
No doubt.
it's hard as an LSU fan to find something wrong with Florida State when they beat you 2 years in a row.